Hello everybody, it's Mindie and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here and you just so happen to come across this video, hi, my name's Mindie and welcome to the channel. I do art videos, at least I try to do it on the weekly, but I can't guarantee though. I try to branch out to do different art mediums like watercolors, digital art like you see here, and I mostly do traditional art. If you're interested in that, please give my channel a consideration of subscribing. Anyway, so enough with that and let's get into the video. So welcome to another Sketch With Me video. This video is kind of different to my other Sketch With Me videos because it is a digital piece. Normally for these Sketch With Me videos, I would be sketching in my sketchbook and would be talking about an art topic of some sorts. But I wanted to switch it up for this video a bit. So finding your art style, one of the most difficult things that an artist has to go through at some point in their life. So to me and probably most other artists, we think that finding your art style can be super intimidating and daunting. So here I have some tips that helped me find my own style and maybe can help some of you or maybe one of you find your style too. But please take what I say with a grain of salt. So first I want to talk about how I come to terms with my style. My style right now is currently in a semi-realistic style. It's kind of in between cartoon and anime and also like throw a little bit of western in there. But I can guarantee you that it looks so much more different and so much better than how it looks like when I first started out. When I first started out, I didn't know what I wanted to make. I genuinely didn't have a style at first, and then I discovered my first art YouTuber that I ever subscribed to, that is Bailey J. Her art style is very cartoony and very round, I guess you can say, and I really like how she draws eyes, so I incorporate a lot of that into my style back then. And if you actually scroll back into my older videos, you can kind of see that my art style looked a lot like Bailey J's on how she draws eyes and noses. It's very similar overall, and I take that as my very first art style in the history of my art journey. I think lately, after that, I kind of got bored with the style after a while, so I kind of switched over to a semi-anime, semi-cartoony style. Like, it was in between cartoony and anime. I was kind of in like that gray area. I remember that I have this how to draw anime book that I used to flip through a lot just for inspiration, and I flip through it and I see how they draw anime eyes, and as any other teenage girl would do, I kind of copied how they draw eyes and I really like how that looked, so I incorporated my Bailey J quote-unquote style and kind of mixed it with a little bit of anime. And I kind of stuck with that style for a while actually, and I consider that as my second ever style. And I think like 2 years ago, I wanted to try something different and I kind of wanted to go down the semi-realistic path instead of the anime side. Like, nothing against the anime style, okay? That's like a whole different video. But I remember I wanted to branch out, so I researched a bunch of realistic stuff, even though I know I'm not gonna do realism, but I did use that for a reference when I first started out. And by then, I rediscovered Drawing with Waffles. I didn't really watch her back then, but I ended up watching her like a lot now, and I was obsessed with her and I really love her style, so I incorporated how she draws certain things into my style, and it kind of grew into what you see today. And now I kind of realized that I kind of went back and forth with my style sometimes. Sometimes certain days I just wanted to draw like something semi-realistic, like more towards the realism side, and there are other days where I just wanted to draw like bubblehead people. So I would say I have more than one style. Sometimes I draw in realism, sometimes, or at least I try to draw in realism anyway, but I do have a semi-realistic, a kind of realistic, and I have a cartoony style and a super cartoony style that I hardly ever use anymore. So first, what I would say is find a lot of different artwork or artists that inspire you, a style that you're going for, and kind of make like a billboard of how you want your style to look. And over time, with the bits and pieces of information that you've gathered throughout the years, you would slowly see how your style starts to improve, and that's by including elements that you see in your styles that you like, by drawing different eyes, drawing different noses, and how you draw ears. And all of this is what makes a style. And I would just say surround yourself with art that you like, art that inspire you, because over time, even if you're not drawing, I heard this, that over time you kind of absorbed what you're looking at and it transfers to your hand when you're drawing. I don't know where I've heard that from, but it definitely works, because sometimes when I look at pieces of artwork and I wasn't drawing, I kind of made a mental note in my head to use this and incorporate it in my style. So an example of taking inspiration from people is actually in this artwork. To those of you who followed my Instagram, you probably know how much I draw One Piece characters in general. So as you can see, my style and Oda's style, the creator of One Piece, is very different from each other, and that's why I wanted to make this video, is to see how much I can recreate an image that he drew in my style. So when I first started out drawing One Piece characters, I didn't know how well I was gonna do. I mean, I obviously wasn't gonna do good because I never draw them before, but I was in that area where I was super scared to draw them, but I really want to draw them at the same time. And I was super insecure about how I was gonna draw them and how my style would look with their character. Would it represent them? Which it didn't at first. But when I started to incorporate the little bits and pieces that I take from his style into my style, it works really well because you can recognize it as that character, and you can still see that it's my style that I didn't copy from Oda directly. So as you can see here, I take the style that he draws for Luffy's eyes and I incorporate it in my drawing. I normally wouldn't draw eyes like this, at least I don't think I do anyway. I mean, I kind of realized later on I used this in a lot of my other artwork, so I mean, it works in developing my style. And I incorporate bits and pieces of my style, like the way I draw noses normally, and I would just add that to my drawing. The next tip I would say is to try experiment with different art styles. I think doing the different art style challenge can really help you in this. It helps you force you out of your comfort zone so you can try new things. And I say if you don't try new things, you never know what you could like in the potential future. And also try experimenting with different mediums instead of different styles. I think that when you work with different mediums, it helps to drive you in a different direction for your style. Like, for example, watercolor paintings. I noticed that when I use watercolor, my style kind of shifted into this more realistic style instead of my cartoony style. And I think that happens because I absorbed a lot of watercolor art from the internet that I just have in my head, and I just unconsciously project them onto paper myself. And I say this also works with different coloring styles you want to go for. If you want to do watercolor, sometimes your brush strokes can look more painterly, and if you want to do a more Copic illustrations, your brush strokes can be more solid and defined. And also a little tidbit I wanted to mention is to start taking risks with your style. I find that when you are stuck in your comfort zone, it's kind of hard to go out of it and take risks. Because even sometimes if you're not inspired by anybody else and you just want to try something new and you're kind of scared to mess it up, your comfort zone kind of holds you back in this because it kind of hinders you from learning something new that you might like. The next thing you can do to help develop your style is to do more studies. Now I know this can be like a super cliche thing that you'd be like, oh, you gotta study so you can know things. Well, it is actually kind of true because every style is still based off of real life and you still need to learn the fundamentals of real life. And it doesn't necessarily have to be realism studies. It can still be you blocking out the shapes of real life. Like when you're drawing a human anatomy, you have to block out how long the torso is, what shape you want the bust to be, and something like that. And once you actually start to get the hang of your fundamentals, your anatomy, it can actually be easier to stylize certain things. I think people can sometimes overlook this because their style isn't too bound to reality, like the chibi style, for example. They have really big heads and small bodies. But if you still want to draw the face, you still have to get the proportions right. And if you want to get the proportions right, you've got to at least study a little bit of the fundamentals of real life, like how a shape is, where the eyes go, where the ears go. Is it too high? Is it too low? Something like that. And I don't think you necessarily have to be so good at anatomy to make a style. You can literally be a beginner artist and still have a style, and it can take some time for you to actually figure it out. Finding a style does take time, but you just gotta keep in mind that everybody is different and every style is different. But even if you try everything and you still don't see improvement, chances are you're putting too much pressure on yourself. When you put too much pressure on yourself, that results in frustration. And when you're frustrated, you don't want to draw. And when you don't want to draw, there's no improvement in your style. Sometimes when you do everything you can, a style just comes naturally. And it comes without you even thinking. And this leads me to my next tip, is to stop thinking and just mindlessly doodle. Sometimes your brain works better when it's not under pressure. And when you have all these expectations on yourself, you're putting yourself through a lot of stress. I find that I genuinely draw better and my style looks better when I'm not stressed when I'm drawing. I try to let myself go as much as I could just to not put too much pressure on myself and my art. So what I would say is to just relax, and if you can, let yourself go, let your hand do whatever you want, and just mindlessly doodle. Don't put too much pressure on yourself to succeed, because finding your art style takes time, and sometimes style that you see and admire can take years to perfect without you even knowing it. You don't need to rush. There's no need to rush in finding your style. You have your whole art journey ahead of you. Everyone's pace with developing and growing is different. And it's not just with art and finding your style, it's with other things too. Sometimes when you see people who are younger than you develop and grow so much faster than you are, it kind of puts you in a damper mood. And I know how that feels because I've been in that situation many times where you compare yourself to a lot of people and you wonder why you aren't like them. And I say everyone grows at a different pace, and just take it easy because you grow at your own pace. An art style to an artist can really define them as an artist. And when you're being compared, it makes you wonder if you're really different, if your style really stands out from the crowd, and does it define you as an artist. You sometimes can't see it, but your style is unique and different from everybody else. Because like I said before, everybody is different, and their different way of portraying certain things can be different. There may be certain things that you don't notice in your style that stands you out from the crowd, but if you actually let other people look at your style, they can easily identify it. I've noticed this when I ask other people, like, hey, does it look like my art? And they were like, yes, there are certain elements in your style just makes it you. And I didn't really expect that because I think my style is just so generic and nobody can really tell the difference. So there are certain elements in your style that makes you you and what makes you different. So these are some of the tips that helped me find my style, and I hope that these can help you find your style too. I'd be happy either way if it only helps at least one of you. So now I'm gonna talk more about the art. If you've stayed this far and you want to keep going, feel free to go ahead, but if you want to click off, then that is fine with me too. So as you can clearly tell from the thumbnail, I'll be redrawing this One Piece Screencap redraw that I found on Pinterest. And yes, I am biased that One Piece is the best anime, don't come for me please. The Screencap was actually voted by you guys from Instagram to redraw the Screencap again. It was between 3 pictures, and to those of you Instagrammers who are watching this and are following my Instagram, you know what I'm talking about, and yes, I'm finally doing this. It definitely took me a while, but I finally got the chance to turn it digitally. I sketched it beforehand, and it's actually in one of my earlier sketchbooks. I just recently uploaded a sketchbook tour right before this video. If you want to check that out and find that sketch, I'll leave a link in the upper eye in the right hand corner. I didn't say anything about the sketch because I wanted to keep it a surprise for this video. And actually, by the time you're watching this video, it's May, and I mean, this video was supposed to go up last week, but I kind of procrastinated, and I was held back by online schoolwork, and that's the main problem actually. And as you can see, this is a digital piece, so it took me longer to film than any of my traditional artworks, because I necessarily didn't film everything in one sitting. I have to like break it down to like, hey, work on this 2 hours today, and I work on this another hour tomorrow, something like that. So that's probably why this video took so long to come out. And yes, for May this year, I am participating in Mermay. If you guys want to see the pictures, I post them all on my Instagram, so link is in the description if you want to go check that out. So for the picture, I didn't want to include every single step that I did. I did include the major steps like the line art and the base block colors, but I didn't film myself like literally erasing all the different little lines. I feel like that's a little bit time consuming, and I actually think this video is long enough. But hopefully you guys enjoy the process of creating. So the major differences is in the style, and my style and Oda's style is very different from each other. I've said this before, and I wanted to make it look like my style and see how much I can change it to look like my style. And as you can see, I did try a different coloring method. I'm not sure if it looks kind of funny or if it looks like there's too much going on, but I did want to try experimenting with digital art and wanting to create something that is over the top and something new for me. I just realized I put a pun in there without even realizing it. You One Piece fans, you probably know what I'm talking about. The coloring for mine is a lot more stylistic than Oda's way of coloring. I mean, I understand that you gotta keep it simple because the animation is like a lot to keep up with, you know? But for this illustration, I feel like I did amp up everything a whole lot. I did this half lighting with purple and yellow that is coming from the right hand corner. I'm not sure if that's too distracting or if that just looks weird, but I wanted to try something new, so I hope you guys like it. And I mean, I know that Luffy's hair is black, but I didn't want to use black in my drawing, so I did go for a kind of purple-y, red-ish, darker hue, but you can still tell like it's kind of black. I have no idea if the purple's a little bit too distracting, but I saw a lot of Instagram artists who draw One Piece try this style. It's actually really pretty, and I wanted to try it because it's a really unique coloring style to me, and it's like super stylistic and everything, and I really wanted to give it a shot. So this is my second attempt actually. My first attempt is with another One Piece Luffy drawing on my Instagram. To you Instagrammers who follow me probably know what I'm talking about. And I would say my speed with digital art definitely improved from my last digital artwork that I did on this channel. That was like my first one, and it didn't look that good now that I'm looking at it. But I feel like this is a huge improvement on my coloring and my speed. I definitely was a lot quicker than my last one. I think my last one took about a week, 2 weeks, because I came back from school and I took at least 2 hours to paint on the digital piece and work on it and everything. But for this one, it actually took me about 3 days to finish everything. Guarantee that I kind of draw all day, but not like all day. Like it took me, I think, 4 hours to film each day, but it took me, like, it's a lot quicker than my last one, and I'm really happy with that. I feel like it improved a lot on speed and my quality of the artwork, so I'm happy with that. And for my picture that I drew, there are some major differences from my drawing and the original drawing. There are some elements that I just add in there that I think looks cool. Like, for example, the little red strings that wrapped around his sword. I did have some little hanging down. That's not in the picture, at least it's not in frame anyway, but I feel like I drew everything a little bit smaller than how Oda drew his, because everything seems kind of big and cropped in the actual screenshot, but in my screenshot it looks a little bit more like shrunken down a little bit. For the color palette, I tried to keep it as simple, but I do try to keep it in the same hue. Like for the purple, I did have it come off of the left hand side only and the yellow from the right hand side only, so you can see where the light source is coming from. And the shadow on Luffy's face, like on his right side, I wasn't sure if I was gonna keep that, but I did do it just in case, because I figured if the lighting is coming from the top of his head, wouldn't there cast a shadow on the right side of his face? I wasn't sure with that, but I kept it anyway because I think it looks cool. But for Law, I didn't draw his, or I didn't shade his left side of the face. No. Yeah, I didn't shade his face that much as I did of Luffy's face. I figured I wanted to keep it simple, and I just wanted you to see his shadow because there is shadow coming down on his eyes anyway. I don't know if I'm making any sense here, or if you're just listening to me ramble. I'm sorry if this doesn't make any sense to you. And I think another major differences between my drawing and his drawing is that mine kind of has a little bit more expression to it. I mean, One Piece characters had a lot of expression in them, or let me tell you that, but I wanted to add a little bit of finesse and just kind of add a little bit more of that expression kind of just wrapped together. For Law's expression, I did change it up a little bit just to kind of give him that annoyed look, and I actually think it fits him pretty well. And if you're not a fan of One Piece, I really recommend you go watch it. I know there's like 900 plus episodes, but if you're into reading the manga, I'm not necessarily into the manga. I really like watching the animation better because I feel like I get a better grasp of the storyline when I watch rather than read. But yeah, I really like the One Piece or fandom. I've been in it for a while now, and ever since I went to Tokyo Tower, it kind of sprung up. So really recommend you go watch that. And I'm still in the process of finishing One Piece. I mean, it's not technically finished yet. There's still like a lot of episodes more to go, but I'm still in Wano right now. And the screen cap you're watching me redraw is a screen cap from Wano Kuni, and that's them. I think that's like the final stage of One Piece. I'm not sure, but Oda said so I don't know who to argue with. Okay, weeb alert. And as you can later tell in the later stages, I did play around with a lot of effects. I mean, I didn't know what I want at first. I did play around, like, multiply is like my best friend, okay? When I'm making digital artwork. I use multiply a lot, so I guess that's like one of the tips from me to you. Use multiply when you're using digital art. But I think what sets me apart from other digital artworks is that I play around with a lot of glow dodge and like color dodge, and I just use that a little bit too much. Sometimes people say like, you use that too much, dude, like calm down. But like, what can I say? It's a cool effect. I think for next week's video, it will be a mermaid drawing, or like a draw with me mermaid style edition or something, but I'm not genuinely sure yet because I still have some catching up to do. And I'm not so sure if it's gonna be a real-time video or a voiceover. I'm not sure which one you guys like more, but please let me know in the comments if you guys like the voiceovers or the real-time videos better, like with me talking in the video and not with a voiceover. If that makes any sense? Also, a little thing I wanted to mention is, since I'm already going to the Comic Avenue 6 this year, I hope I could get this as a print when I was tabling there, and if I did, I would put it up on sale on my Etsy shop. Just letting you guys know, I'm not actually sure if I were to do that yet. I'm not sure if it's delayed or anything because of COVID, but just letting you guys know, just in case. But if it is available as a print, I will sure to update you guys on that. For the background, I didn't want it to be too prominent. I kind of just wanted to be like a blur in the background but still have the same color scheme. So I did pick up some colors from the actual Screencap and kind of just blurred it in the background. I think I used like a watercolor brush or something and then just kind of dabbed it in the background. So you can kind of see that there's like silhouettes of trees in the background, but you can't see it as much. And a little final touch that I did add to the piece, I think kind of last minute, is that little beam of light from the top right corner. I think since I already had the yellow side shaded in on Luffy's hair, I decided to just make it a light source. Why not? I think it looks cool, like maybe a little bit too distracting. I say everything's distracting because there's a lot going on in this picture, but I like it. I think it looks kind of cool. Also, if you enjoyed this video, if you like it, I'll probably do more of these Screencap redraws because they are a lot of fun. I'm planning on doing a Ghibli Studio one soon, like a Howl's Moving Castle one. That could be a lot of fun. I really like them. Maybe I'll do an Arrietty one. There's a lot of things going on in my brain right now. And if you would like to see more digital artwork from me, please give this video a like or let me know in the comments and I'll know to do more. So we have come to the end of this video. Thank you everybody so much for watching, and if you have stuck around this far into the video, hi. Thank you everybody so much for watching this video. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye bye!